Okay, good morning, guys. Let's see who's online. I'm sorry for the delay. I think there's some issue with the my Zoom connection that I have got. Okay, just give us a minute and then we'll start. How are you guys? Any new challenges that you want to talk about? Just ping in the chat. Okay, one more minute, then we'll start. Just a sec. Yeah, sorry for that. As I mentioned, today's session is about Scrum, and it's gonna be deep dive into the day-to-day activities, what is required. It's not just the high level. After today's session, you will be able to understand Scrum thoroughly. Each and every bit you will be able to understand. So let's give us one more minute. At 9:40 will start. Okay. I can see. Okay. Let's see. Mhm. And also let me know if you want me to cover anything that you have been facing in your day-to-day work life. Happy to do that. Okay, good. So it's time to start. Let me share my screen and then we'll go. Okay, let me start. Uh, I hope you can see my screen. So this is on a high level, right? And I think this picture I have already shared. Uh, this overall covers the Scrum. And as I have mentioned, Scrum is one of the agile framework. It's not the methodology. It's not the methodology, it's the framework. And you understand the framework? It's already defined, you have to follow and make it customized according to. You have to follow the principles, the standards, but you can customize, you can redefine it by following the practices. There are certain rules, pillars that have been defined in Scrum. You follow in Agile, and then if you follow them in a certain fashion, that we'll talk about, that becomes a Scrum. So understand from Agile is a religion. Scrum is one of the religion. There are multiple religions, right? You could have Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. There's so many. And either of them you follow, you become religious. Similarly, if you are following certain practices, you can be agile. One of these practices in the framework is Scrum. They're extreme programming. And in the last session, I have talked about test driven development. There's a new approach which is coming, DDD, design driven development. Then there is BDD, business design development. So the need, it's again the same. Agile, iterative. It's more iterative that you give it. You're following the agile, right? So let's cover today's Scrum deep dive, and then we can. Okay. So what is needed for the Scrum, right? And this is the session which I have covered, and people have put these sticky notes on the physical session that I have done. So There are three categories. First is the roles, right? What are the roles that are needed in the Scrum? Other one is the artifacts. What are the artifacts that are required? The documentation that we have got to it. What all do you prepare for it? Then comes the events. What all events that happen? Right? We'll cover them in detail. So broadly three categorization which comes under the Scrum framework. Roles, artifact and events. And which one you associate yourself? If you are following Agile in some way and Scrum, then either of them you will be associate. First, when we start, the first step, there has to be a vision, right? First, what do you want this product to take in the long term? And always vision is an imaginary state towards which the entire company, the owner, the founders, the product managers, everybody strive to do that. So that's the guiding light you have got, right? First you define the vision. Then who define the vision? So usually if it is a company, it's defined by the owner of the company. When you start. Once it is done, then vision is defined by the product owners. When you have got multiple products under the company. Company vision is different. Product vision is different. But it aligned towards the company vision. So product owner define the vision. Right? That's the first step. And then once vision is defined, then you define the product goal. What is the goal of the product? Why do it exist? Paytm, for an example, why does Paytm exist? To make the payment easy, simple. To make the payment easy, available to everybody. That's the product goal. Forget about other features. That's the primary goal. Now they have got booking cards, they can book flight, you can purchase. But what was the first product goal? Make the payment easy and seamless across. Then on the basis of this product goal, you define the product backlog. To make this happen, we need to we need this platform, we need the connectivity, we need all these credit cards, we got debit card support, we have got wallet support, whatever it is. You define all those, and what does it, as a product manager, you define it. Yet the implementation solutioning thing have not been defined. It's only the product goals. What does it require to meet that product goal? Then comes the Scrum Master. Scrum Master is somebody who understands Agile, Scrum in depth. Product manager doesn't understand Agile. He can be aware of, because there are a lot of other practices which you can follow in a framework to build a product. Scrum is one of them. And Scrum Master is a master of Scrum. Right? Then you have got developers. People who are gonna build the product. Then first, once your product backlog is defined, aligned with the product goal, then you have got sprint planning meeting. What is sprint planning meeting? The product owner comes and talks about the product backlog. Answer all the questions about the product backlog in the part 1 that we have seen, where the product owner is only talking about what he's looking for. And he's answering the questions. In the part 2 of the sprint planning, there are only the developers who creates the user stories and the details how those product backlog gonna be implemented. The detailed product stories after discussion with the product owner. That happens in the first part, right? Second part, you get into the details of it. Then, once this is done, and we'll talk about sprint more. Once this is done, then you define these number of stories, these number of product backlog that we can take and build in a certain time, and which will give us this goal. That goal is called a sprint goal. You guys with me? Every sprint should have a goal. And what is a sprint? A sprint is a well-defined, a period, consistent period to deliver something which is deployable in production or which is releasable. Okay. Then, once you have got that backlog items and you refine it and you create a sprint backlog. Sprint backlog comes from the product backlog, right? From here, it comes since sprint planning, then comes the sprint backlog. So, sprint backlog is the stories which has been refined by the product owners as well as the developers. Those stories comes in the sprint backlog. And from the sprint backlog, developers choose the stories which they want to work on. And it's usually the product owner define the priority of the stories. Usually, if it is not defined, then is the development team, because they understand the product goal. They understand the product goal, which one they want to pick to meet that goal. Okay, then let's assume the sprint cycle is of 1 month. In my company, I have got 2 weeks. So if you have this for 1 month, then development team work on those sprint backlog items which they have taken for a sprint, for a month, they start working on that. No changes to the sprint goal, quality or duration. These things cannot be changed. For every sprint is gonna be 1 month. Every sprint. It cannot change. If you have decided, it's gonna be 1 month. If you have agreed on 2 weeks, let's be on 2 weeks. As a practice, as the Scrum defines, the sprint should not be more than 1 month. And once you have defined the sprint goal, that doesn't change for a month. And in a daily month, you have got daily stand-up. Daily stand-up, you come and you talk about what you have achieved yesterday, what is your plan today, and are there any impediments, the blockers, which Scrum Master can pick and work on them, escalate, get them solved. That's the primary role of the Scrum Master. Primary role first. Remove the impediments. That's the primary role. After 1 month, what happens? A releasable product comes out. And how does it you define? We define the definition of done. What do you mean that this will be a releasable product? And this definition of done is defined by the developers in agreement with the product manager. Product manager cannot redefine it. Is just he understand what does the definition of done means. Does it include testing? Does it include business testing? Does it include deployed ready in production? Does it include all the CI/CD pipeline to be? What does definition of done means? Does it include 100% unit testing? Whatever it is the team decide. Product owner is aware of it. He can suggest. This is primarily the developers who define the definition of done. Okay. Now after the product is released, there is a sprint review. Correct. What happens in sprint review? Is it a blame game? Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, product manager is shitty. Scrum Master is not available most of the time. It's not a blame game. It's to review what actually has happened. What went well. So that we continue to do that. Repeat what went well. And avoid what didn't. What can be improved? And you pick those items based on the everybody's agreement. We do the voting, right? Which item for improvement we should take. And there are different mechanisms also. How do you do the retro? Right? So, review. You talk about what went well and this is the product that we have released. This is the functionality. So, sprint review is a demo. Sprint review is the demo, we call it. Whatever you have built it. And in the review, then you have it. Talk about the product improvement that we have got. And which goes back into the product backlog. Right? On a high level, this is the Scrum looks like. We'll deep dive into this. Any questions do you have got? Just let me know. I can answer. Yep. Let me know if you have got anything. Just one minute and then we'll start. Because I want you to understand this. This is important. Okay. Done. Hey Marvin, I'm good. Let's move to the next step. There's a sprint retro which I was talking about. What actually went well? Let me ping. Okay. So this is, after this sprint review has happened, then comes the sprint retro, where you talk about what really went well, what went wrong, and what you want to repeat. Sprint review is showing what you have built and take the feedback from the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Product owner and the product manager are the stakeholders. The sponsors are the stakeholders. The business users are the stakeholders. And there could be a case where you have got real users coming up and checking it. That's what we call it alpha testing. And that happens in the sprint review. They go, we give them and ask them their feedback. That happens. We show them this is what we have built and give us the feedback. Okay. And again, from this, you have got something that you can work on. Process improvement. That either I mean, because in retro you talk about, I mean, Scrum Master was not good, product manager didn't write these proper stories, we couldn't clarify, product manager was not available, there were dependencies on other uh, systems, there was a delay, some that you all discuss in sprint retro, and you takeaways are the process improvements. This is all the Scrum is. Let's move to next. Now we understand sprint. What is a sprint in this Scrum? We have in the last, what we are talking about? This is of 1 month, right? This 1 month is the sprint. Sprint are the time box activities iteration that function in a iterative and incremental development. So you time box it 1 month. Whatever you have to do it in 1 month and give us something which is releasable. As I said, and sprint duration should not be more than 1. It should not be. It has to be less than. Usually is of 2 weeks. Usually in most of the companies. I've never worked in a company where the sprint duration is more than 2 weeks. It's always 2 weeks. In one company we used to have it of 1 week where it was fast pace deployment. So it was continuous deployment and release that was happening. Okay. Single purpose of Scrum is done in increment. So after every sprint, there should be something increased, tangible in the existing product. Or if you are building a new product, then the first something should be released which is getting aligned towards getting one step towards the product goal. Now let's talk about the accountabilities. You have got first the product owner. What is the role of a product owner? He is from the business side. He talks about more business. He understands the product. He understands the business. He understands the stakeholders. He understands the product vision better than the developers, masters, because he is the part, he is involved in those first cut discussions that happens. And he optimizes the value of the product. And he manages the product backlog. These are the high level. There are a lot of others, but these are the primary key responsibility of the product owner or a product manager. Developers. They create, they build, they create, they release. So they are on the delivery side of the product development. Product owner is from the towards the business side. Now comes the Scrum Master. Scrum Master, he enables the teams for effectiveness. He removes the impediments. He manages the Scrum framework. He understands Scrum and Agile really well. That's why you call it a Scrum Master. Then the Scrum Team. Scrum Team includes everybody. Scrum Master, product owners, developers. There are testing folks gone. Testing folks, if they are, then they are part of the Scrum Team itself. UX designer, they are also part of the Scrum Team. Production support, SRE nowadays, they are also part of the Scrum Team. I have got them in the part of my Scrum Team. And usually, the Scrum Team is 10 or less than 10. Okay. Now we understood the role of product owner, developer, Scrum Master and Scrum Team. Artifact. These are the roles. Now comes the artifact. First is the product backlog. We use Jira for creating a product backlog. Product manager, I am the product manager. I create the product backlog. This is what I want, this is what I want, this I want, this I want. I create the entire list. And in the sprint planning, in fact, before sprint planning, we do a product backlog refinement. We call it PBR, in which I talks about the product, the backlog, each and every item which I have prepared. I come and present it. And developers, testing professionals, UX, they ask questions to me. I answer them. Once that is done, then we have got a defined sprint backlog that they have understood, that what needs to be built. And that comes in the sprint backlog. The refined product backlog is called a sprint backlog. And from the sprint backlog, developers pick these stories or pick these items from sprint backlog, not from the product backlog. And last not the least, potentially releasable product increment. The thing that you have increased after the one sprint. One thing that you have increased. That is releasable increment. Okay. Now comes the three things happen. First the roles, then comes the artifacts, documentation that we have got. Now comes the Scrum event. First is the sprint, 1 month long, the time box in which team has to deliver an increment. Right? Then comes the sprint planning. Sprint planning, maximum it could be of 8 hours. So what we do, we have a 1 day of sprint planning. 2 weeks sprint, 1 day of sprint planning, which is close to 7-8 hours. We sit in a meeting room, everybody, and we plan. We pick the stories and we discuss and we plan for this. That we'll take this in this sprint, this dependency will take this in. Then we have got daily scrum. Daily scrum is attended by, who is attending it? Apart from product owner. Product owner can come join, but usually is the Scrum Master and the development team in the daily scrum. Daily scrum is a 15 minutes. Then there is a sprint review, which is a demo, sprint demo. The Scrum team and the stakeholders. And for us it takes 2 hours. But max it can have a 4 hours by the end of the sprint. Then sprint retro, where you talk about what went wrong, what was good, what we should improve, what should we continue to do, what we should avoid. Then, so this are the 5 events that happens in the Scrum. Sprint, 1 month, sprint planning, 8 hours, daily Scrum, 15 to 20 minutes, because assuming we have got 10 members max. So every member should not take more than 1 minute. That we have defined. If you are taking more than 1 minute, then this is not daily stand-up. And you see, interesting is, this used to be daily stand-up. I think till 2015-16, and after this Scrum.org have come that it seems that people have taken it that you have to stand when you have to participate in daily Scrum. So let's remove the stand-up. So we put it daily Scrum, sprint review and retro. Done? Okay, Scrum event, opportunity to inspect and adapt. What is this? Let's go through this. Sprint planning. What does it happens in sprint planning? What does it require? It requires, first is product in sprint planning. What does it happen? As a prerequisite, product backlog you have got. capacity, definition of done, retrospective improvement. These are items that happens. What happened next? What is the outcome of it? Sprint goal, forecast, plan to deliver, and sprint backlog. And it happens, Scrum team for 8 hours. Daily stand up, the progress that we have made, what you have done in yesterday, what you are planning to do, any impediments that you have got. Updated sprint backlog that we have got. Okay. The sprint that we have added. The developers, 15 minutes. Sprint review, in what happens, sprint increment you talk about product backlog, and what you get out of it, updated product backlog. Scrum team and stakeholders, 4 hours. Sprint retrospect, sprint definition of done, you match it, and then you talk about sprint, and you get actionable improvement. What should be improved? It happens for, we have it for 2 hours, 1.5 hours, but you can have it for 3 hours. Are we good? Then comes the Scrum commitment. What does Scrum commitment means? There's something that you have to commit. You have to have it. If you don't have it, then you're not following Scrum. Professional Scrum that you call it. See, that's like anybody can play cricket, right? In your any playground. But is that a professional cricket? No, that's not a professional. To play a professional cricket, there's some commitment that you have to do. Similarly, if you are following a Scrum, there's some commitment that you have to do. First is you should have a product goal. If there is no product goal, you're not following Scrum. So, it helps to drive the team first of all. It creates the transparency. And you can see the long-term vision. Oh, this is what we are trying to achieve. And you can search for the product that are there in the market. They mention it. What is their product goal? What is their vision? What is their mission? Are we good? Then, sprint goal. You should have a sprint goal. Every goal that you are talking about, whether it's a product goal or sprint goal, has to be there, because if it doesn't exist, then there is no alignment. Everybody is moving in a different direction if you don't have a goal. You got it? Then, definition of done. What do you mean by definition of done? It's a kind of a checklist which you go through when you say, oh, yes, we are done. We have completed this. Have you completed this? All the unit testing being done? Is the UAT testing is being done? Functional testing done? Performance testing done? Code check-in? Ready for review? DevOps? You create a checklist. And that checklist will be followed for everything that is being done. Everything that is being done is applicable for every story, every item that you consider that, yes, this is a releasable increment for the product. Just do it. It has to match. It has to match the definition of done. So these are the 3 commitments that you have got. That has to be there. Now let's come to the Scrum values. We understand commitment, right? Now let's understand the Scrum value. First is openness. There should be transparency. Transparency on result, transparency on the problem, the strength, development need help. To create the culture of openness. So everybody should be open. Whether there is a problem or there is success. We know the strength, we know the weaknesses. Then commitment. Commitment means that if we have committed, this will be delivered as a part of this sprint. As a team, then everybody is committed. And we become more committed for the success. Right? Then the focus. Focus is aligned towards the product goal and product vision. Respect. Everybody should be respected. And everybody should respect each other. Courage. We work and everybody should support if there is a problem. If something you don't feel is aligned towards the goal or is impacting the overall progress of the team, you will have the full right to raise it. So everybody have the courage to raise question. My development team questions me a lot they questions me a lot because we have given that. We have built that culture. Everybody is allowed to raise their concern. So openness, commitment, respect, focus, courage. 5 Scrum values: openness, commitment, courage, respect and focus. These are values. People say we are following Scrum. Do you have these values? Do you have this commitment? If you don't have it, then you are not following Scrum, professional Scrum. You could be following Scrum, you could be following Agile, but that's not professional. Okay. Now let's talk about this. This will cover this. This is product owner, Scrum Master, development. Product owner, as I said, he creates and owns the product vision, not the company, the product vision. He is responsible for product backlog. He ordered the product backlog with the maximum business value at the top. He involved in sprint goal, order the work, then with the higher value gain, decide the priority of this, and he also reviewed the work done by the team so that it meets the acceptance criteria for the stakeholders. And he demonstrated the product to the stakeholders and get it reviewed, get it feedback. Apart from the one that happens in the sprint review. Contribute in defining the improvement need and help the team in enact together. Responsible for managing the product stakeholder and their expectations. See, he is from the business side. So the main is product vision, product backlog, work with the stakeholders, manage the expectations of the stakeholders, show the stakeholders the what product capable is of. Main. He is the domain expert. He understands project management. He also understands product management. So maximum return on investment. That's his goal. Optimization. Developers. In Scrum, developers are cross-function. And they are self-managed. They are both technical and non-technical. And they define the definition of done. And responsibility, you can see, they understand the product vision, they understand the product backlog, they understand and commit sprint goals, convert product backlog in the product increment. They have a courage, they respect each other, they're open, right? And they participate in the identify any process improvement and focus on the technical excellence and engineering practices. Their responsibilities. Then comes the Scrum Master. What is? He is agile experience. He is a Scrum expert. He coaches people. He gives awareness about the better engineering practices, agile practice. He is a change agent, in short. So he understands the again product vision, understand the product backlog refinement, help product manager and owner to refine the backlog. He help in sprint planning. He help in the development by coaching team to understand how do you make it better, be aligned with the definition of done. He facilitate the daily stand up. He review the sprint review. He manages, coordinate. Main is facilitation. Facilitation is the main important role of the Scrum Master. Facilitation, Scrum expert, impediment removal, and bring the team together. Scrum Master is like a glue. Scrum Master is like a glue which help in gelling the entire team together. Okay, let's move on. Getting started with Scrum. So first, this is the product backlog, and then you further define it into shorter iterations that you have defined 1 month or 2 weeks. And then split your work in smaller deliverables. Not everything you can't. I mean, that's the purpose of the Scrum. You break them down. And you break them down to such a level that they fit in a one sprint. Okay. Then in the first, you can kill it. This is released. After first sprint. Then second sprint, first plus second is included. Then in the third is a bigger one. Now you understood? This is how the iteration works. After 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sprints. This is the complete what we have decided as a product goal get delivered. Right? These are the sprints. Shorter increments that having. This is product backlog. Let's talk about it. An ordered and emerging list. Product backlog is never finalized, never complete. It always keep on building. So it's an ordered list. Why it is ordered list? Because at the top the most valuable item for the product is listed. In that complete list, the topmost is, and then so on and so forth, which is aligned to the product goal and the vision of the company. And PBI, what is product backlog items? What it can be? Each is a user need, it could be new requirement, enhancements, defects, investigation and design for implementation, experiments. It could be something like, yes, we want to experiment, we want to see if Kafka works for us. We want to see if the pivotal cloud cache is going to work for us. We want to check whether Oracle or MariaDB or SQL Server, which DB is going to be the best for us. And how this can be expressed in the form of a user story, use case, feature description, mind map, impact story, or voice of a customer. We can bring a customer also. Let's just see. Let him talk about. That also comes in the product backlog. This is what it contains. The single source of truth for what is planned in the product. And how it is being ordered? Return on investment, value, dependency, risk, and other factors. What it creates? It creates the transparency, expressed and managed by the product owner. And this is a single source of work for the development. This is how to prepare a product backlog. There is user research that happens. Then you do the design thinking. And then you do the impact mapping. And then comes the item which you are important for the product build. These are the steps that you take. How do you build? How do you get the ideas? How do you build the product? These are the 3 steps. We'll be taking more detailed session on these items. How do you do the user research? How does the design thinking happens? How does the impact mapping happens? For now, just understand these are the approaches that can be taken to prepare a product backlog. What is needed to start the first sprint? You've got Scrum Team. You need to have a refined product backlog. You need to have a definition of done and required infrastructure. What can we start our first sprint? First, define the purpose. Select the item that to be done. What technology? Process the plan. In the first sprint, we at least have a what process we are going to follow. How long is going to be the sprint? How long going to take the demo? How long is going to take the retro? That you define it. Definition of done you can define it. And from the product backlog, they said, we have a defined backlog, right? You can pick what you want to work on this first sprint. This is how the simplest design for 2 weeks of sprint looks like. Just take a look. The first day, sprint planning happens on Monday. Let's assume start from Monday and on Friday, 2 weeks. First sprint planning happens, then you have got daily stand-up that happens. Then on Wednesday you have got a PBR, product backlog refinement. Then it goes, then product backlog refinement. Sprint planning, what needs to be picked, what you will gonna start in this sprint. Product backlog is the product backlog which product manager owns, and you improve that. You understand, you refine it. You ask questions. Then on the Friday, last day of the sprint, it happens the sprint review and sprint retro. Okay. This is what happens in this product backlog refinement. What are the PBIs are there? Enrich these PBIs, ask questions, ask dependencies, identify the infrastructure, estimate, split large items and create new item and then reprioritize if it is not in line with the product goal and what team feels. Then further on, when do you want to start and why? Why is more around the prioritization of the product backlog. Which one is going to be picked at the first? Right. This is what we have got. When to refine the product backlog. When to refine? First day of the. Once you start, then the third day you should refine the backlog. In the first sprint. Okay. Sprint planning. What is in sprint planning? It happens for the 8 hours. And from the refined product backlog, you have a definition of done. And you also have a available capacity of a team. Then you define this will be in 2 progress and you just list it down. And when you start, sprint goal you have gone, define the sprint and Then you start picking one of the items and see these we are doing to do. In progress and in down. This is the simplest way of doing it. You identified, pick them, start working on to do in that duration and put them in progress once you work on it and then meeting the definition of done. Simplest form. Right? In this sprint. This is sprint planning. Just take a look. You got to have a deep dive of product backlog first happen. You have already defined the definition of done. You have defined the projected team capacity that this is what we can deliver. And you also have a retrospective items. Right? Then why and what we are doing in this sprint, how we can achieve this sprint goal, that happens, right? That I have explained. Product manager explains product, and this is where they talk about how we are going to do it. And this is the outcome of this. This is a daily stand-up, 15 minutes we have got. And this is how the increment happens. One story done, two story done, third story, once done, we have got an increment. Same goes for sprint 2, sprint 3. You got it? This is how the incrementally you build on this top of it. After every sprint, you add something to it which can be demonstrated. And sprint review, the demo. From the product backlog, you pick that, you talk about that this is what we have delivered. And outcome is based on the feedback once you give them the demo. You update your product backlog. And this is how it happens. Business and market conditioning. Then you talk about the releasable product and which is aligned to the sprint goals. This is when you review with the stakeholders and stakeholder provide you a feedback and then you adjust, revise the product backlog, readjust and forecast. Sprint retro. And this is more around people, process and tools. And adaptable. What do you adapt? What is the outcome of it? What are the actionable items that you want to change? We have it for 1.5 hours. This is the product life cycle. When you have zero value and when you have started. That's the ideation build. Then you have got launch, then you have got growth, then maturity and then decline. This is the product life cycle. Every product has got. The duration, the time could be more. Beat any product. We have seen the story of our Orkut. We have seen the story of Yahoo. We have seen the story of Google Hangout. There are so many products that have failed. And to be honest, most of the product failed if the ideation is not correct. This is how the product life cycle works. And you see this white? This is the increment. Iteration and increment. And this is how structured it is. Strategy and operations. Internal and external. All the activities that you talk about. Internal, not exposed to external, and strategy wise. Product vision, product strategy, business case, product value, strategy, product planning, product retirement, product budgeting, and product roadmap. This is external, strategically, but external. Product marketing and sales, communication, product pricing, product branding, and product launch. Operations are external. Operation support, customer retention, product operations. And this is internal and operation. Requirement management, product scope and sustain, product development, product regulatory, legal, stakeholder management, forecast and feasibility that happens in the operations and internal to the team and the company. This happens. This is how it looks. Product manager. This happens. If it is all product manager, then it becomes a waterfall. Yep. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. And please add your comments. And we'll meet soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.